Good morning, students. From the 7th chapter of Politics, Outcomes of Democracy. Again, today I am going to discuss about accountable, responsive, and legitimate government. Here it is. Please check your book first. There are some things that democracy must provide. In a democracy, we are most concerned with ensuring that people will have the right to choose their rulers and people will have control over the rulers. Whenever possible and necessary, citizens should be able to participate in decision making that affects them all. Therefore, the most basic outcome of democracy should be that it produces a government that is accountable to the citizen and responsive to the needs and expectations of the citizen. Here it says that democracy mainly the right to choose our representative through the election or through the vote. So whenever possible, the people should get the chance in the decision making process because this decision affects each and every people of the country. So the basic outcome of democracy is that it should produce a government that is accountable to the citizen and very much responsive to the needs and expectations of what the citizens have. Before I go to this question, we face another common question. Is the democratic government efficient? Is it effective? So now the question is asked here that is the democratic government efficient? Is it effective? Some people think that democracy produces less effective government. It is of course true that non-democratic rulers do not have to bother about deliberation in assemblies and worry about majorities and public opinion. So earlier about democracy we discussed democracy delays in decision making because democracy cares each and every people's opinion. But here it is said that non-democratic rulers do not bother about the people's opinion and deliberation and the assembly's decisions and everything. So they are not worried about the public opinion. So they can be very quick and efficient in decision making and implementation. So that's why non-democratic government are very quick to take the decision, which is not possible in the democracy, because in democratic country government before taking the decision they must consult with the people directly or indirectly. Democracy is based on idea of deliberation and negotiation. So some delay is bound to take place. Does that make democratic government inefficient? So here it is said that the democracy always takes a little more time because it's based on deliberation and negotiation, and that's why it takes the decision little lately. So only this can make a democratic government inefficient, the question asked here. Let us think in terms of costs. Imagine a government that may take a decision very first, but it may take decisions that are not accepted by the people and may therefore face problems. In contrast, the democratic government will take more time to follow procedures before arriving at a decision. But because it has followed procedures, its decisions may be both more acceptable to the people and more effective. So the cost of time that democracy pays is perhaps worth it. So now the contrast here given that in a non-democratic government decisions can be taken very fast because only one person or a few person like 2 3 4 persons they may take the decision, but that decisions may not be effective and liked by the people. But in a democracy, though it is taking little more time, but whatever the decision the democracy takes, that is acceptable by the people and it is more effective. So if democracy delays, that time doesn't matter anything comparing to the non-democratic regimes. Now look at the other side. Democracy ensures that decision makings will be based on norms and procedures. So a citizen who wants to know if a decision was taken through the correct procedures can find this out. She has the right and the means to examine the process of decision making. This is known as transparency. So what does transparency mean in democratic government? How the decision is taken, what decision already taken, everything the general people has the right to know. And government also bound to declare everything to the people, because again and again I'm saying that democracy is the rule by people. That's why this procedure, as everything is very clear, crystal clear to the people, that's why it is known as transparency. This factor is often missing from a non-democratic government. but this transparency you will not find in a non-democratic government, because their people's opinions are not granted. Only some people, as I said earlier, taking the decision. Therefore, when we are trying to find out the outcomes of democracy, it is right to expect a democracy to produce a government that follows procedures and accountable to the people. And that's why when we are counting the outcome, and then we are finding democratic government as a accountable government, because they are always in favor and in support of the people. We can also expect that the democratic government develops mechanisms for citizens to hold the government accountable, and mechanisms for citizens to take part in decision making whenever they think fit. So democratic government creates or develops a mechanism which makes the government accountable, and even also the people or the citizen to take part in the decision making process. This mechanism of democratic government creates a transparency between the government and the general people, which we can say here accountable. Okay, thank you this much for today.